Okay, hello everyone. Good evening. Welcome to class 7 of problem solving through C programming tutorial. So, this is Venkata Sai Charan. So, we are in the 7th week. So, what we have seen till now, I mean, in the previous class is about we looked into the arrays. Previously, we looked into the nested loops, and then in the previous class, we looked into the arrays, and we scratched some surface into on how to define arrays and how to use arrays and how to read the values into a single dimensional arrays and how to display the value to the consoles, and then we did some basic operations on arrays, and then we looked into the strings, how to use the strings actually to how to use arrays to read strings. So, character arrays to read strings, and we are going to look bit more into that today. So, this is the high level agenda for today's class. So, we will be looking into some basic I will start with linear search or an arrays. So, on single dimensional arrays, then we will deep dive into the string functions. So, there are so many inbuilt functions that are there with the strings. So, we will try to understand what they are actually. Then we will try to look into the multi-dimensional arrays. So, two dimensional arrays, and how do we actually create two dimensional arrays, and then how do we use them to read the values, and what is the problem with two dimensional arrays in terms of how do we find out particular elements in the two dimensional arrays, and then we will do some practical examples, and I will show you some demo, and finally we will try to quickly go through some quiz to understand much more deeper into the concepts, and where you can do some mistakes, and there are some portions which are gray actually and difficult to understand. We will try to cover those concepts, and finally we will wind up the class. So, this is the high level agenda for today's class, and let's get started. Let me share my entire screen so that are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So we will start with a linear search. So, what is linear search? So, this is an algorithm uh, that is much more famous to perform a search operation on a single dimensional array. So, there are many other searches, like you have binary search and Fibonacci search and all this stuff. So, this is a simple search algorithm. So, it will try to look into the array index by index, and it will try to match the values, and once if you have the matched value, so it will say that it was able to find out the value. So, this is called as sequential search also, according to some other terminology, but it is bit straightforward. You just try to compare your search element with each element in the array, and try to see where it actually ends. So, this is bit straightforward. So, let me go through the code of this array. So, here, are you guys able to see my screen properly, or should I increase the font? Will that be okay? Is this okay for you guys? Can somebody unmute and tell me? Okay, cool. So what we are trying to do here is that we defined the array of size 100, and we declared another. So, this is a single dimensional array. So, and we defined another. Who's that? So, we are trying to read a element from the we are trying to read element from the user to read, and then we are trying to perform the search operation based on that particular element. So initially we are asking the user number of elements in the array, and then we are trying to read those elements by using the scanf, and then we are asking the user to enter a number which he want to search in this particular one dimensional array. So based on that, so here is the logic. So it will go from 0th index to n minus 1, 0 to n minus 1, and then it will try to find out. So for every element in the array, it will try to perform the comparison operation, and if it is found, and then we can say that it is found, and you can get the location as well. So location will be c plus 1, because the index starts from 0, you can say that index will be c plus 1. So otherwise you can say that the data is, I mean the search element is not there in the array. So did somebody ping? Okay. So this is how the simple search operation will be done on arrays. So we will try to quickly run this one, and then who's that? Okay, linear, so dot slash linear. So I am entering 10 elements. So I want to search for 8. So 8 is at the location 6. So you can see from okay, 0 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 5 0 1 2 3 4 5 6. Yeah, it is in the 6th location. So this is a simple program to perform the linear search. So I mean I want you to explore more on this, because it is very fundamental thing. So I want you to search for let's say if the 8 is not there for one time, so if the 8 was there for 2-3 times, so
Sir,
yeah,
sir, last statement was wrong, sir.
with statement
If C equals to N, C does not become N, sir. C less than N.
C equal to 0, C less than, no, the logic here is that if the C equal to 0, maybe logic may be wrong, but more or less the thing will be here only. So yeah, maybe it's wrong logic. So you can write the else condition here itself, or otherwise you can come down and say that the element is not there in the array. So if it is coming out of the for loop, and if the if was not printed, or otherwise you can write a logic here in the else. So else you can write this particular statement inside the loop. Okay. No, I think
Sir.
it will not work. Okay, let me, I got it. So yeah, so if it is coming out, and then z equal to 0 to c less than n, c plus plus. So so if it is coming out, then we need to print that the particular element is not there in the array. So there is some confusion here, so I will try to clarify that. So the thing is that you need to find if the element is there in this particular array, at what particular location. So this particular logic will print. So otherwise if it is coming out and you need to print that element is not there in that array, that's it. So
Yeah,
logic here is wrong. Okay.
logic. I think, sir, it is no, it is correct, right? If C reaches to N, that means full array has been searched, so the array is not present. So C will reach to N. Otherwise, will go from 0 to N minus 1.
Sir,
So but C, yeah, so okay, my mistake.
C equals
So the thing is the C is global, so I'm thinking that
C
the
equal to
C
n
is,
minus 2 is correct, sir.
huh,
Yeah.
C equal to N is right,
C
I
equal
guess.
to n minus 1 is correct, sir.
No, no. See, there is a
N
post
minus 1
let,
is
operator.
let, let me try to rerun that program so that it will be, because I think this logic is correct, because the thing
Yes.
is that C is declared as a global. I was thinking that C will be local so that it will not be replicated outside. So let me try to run it again. So let us say we will have 5 elements, and I have just, I am entering 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I want to search element number 6. So it will try to iterate through this loop, and it will not found, and then it should print the value that, so it is right. So why? Because the logic is right. Why? Because it will come out, let us say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So after that the C value will be incremented, again it will go to this particular place, and then it is failed, and then it will come out and print this value. So C equal to n, by the time C will be n. If you write C equal to n minus 1, this statement will not print. If you,
Yeah, and sir, as this is a postfix operator, so it
yeah,
will
so
after
yeah,
the run, it will
yeah,
go
yeah,
to
yeah. So
10. So that
let
makes sense.
me do that for clarity for your case. So let's say if I press enter 7, oh, why it is n minus 1 printed. So okay, I didn't, sorry, this is, I am running on the same thing, I didn't compile it, sorry. Dot slash linear, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So number such, so you will not get anything. So C should be n, got it, because it is a postfix, and C is declared as a global element, not very, if you think, if you declare C here, that will be within that loop, so it will not come out. But if you declare global, the C value will be replicated outside, and because we are using the postfix operator here, post increment operator here, the C value will be incremented, and that will be equal to n. You got it? I think somebody has asked the question.
Sir, got it, sir.
Got it. Okay, thank you. So sorry for the confusion. So that will be about the linear search. So now what I will ask you to do is, you try to search for this kind of thing. Let's say 8 is there in the multiple places, you try to search for that kind of, you do the linear search and print out the places where the particular 8 will be printed. Got it? Particular 8 will be there in the array. So that is another challenging task. So you need to find out number of times the 8 value is there in that array, and at what index places the 8 will be there. So if you can look at that in your free time, and it will be bit challenging. So that is what about the linear search. So now understand we will try to understand some functions in details regarding the string. So we have seen what is string, how do we use character arrays as a strings in our previous class. So now we will try to use some inbuilt functions on the strings, and to do some basic tasks. So like finding out the length of the string, and how do we compare two strings, and what is, how this strcmp output will be different for different cases, and how do we actually compare the two strings at certain places, like first 5 characters you want to compare, how do we do that, and all this stuff. So we will go one by one. So I will try to explain all the functions together, and then we will look into the programming examples. So the first one is strlen. So strlen is, it is a inbuilt function in C programming language. So what it will try to do is that it will try to take a character array as a input, and it will try to return integer as a length of the string. So that will be output the string length. So another thing is comparison. So string comparison, strcmp is very much important function that you need to understand, because strcmp will take two strings as a input. So this is the syntax for strcmp. It will take two strings as a input, so which are of character arrays, and it will try to generate three kind of input. So if both the strings are equal, then it will output 0. It will return 0 as a it will return the 0 as a output. So if string 1 is greater than string 2, then it will give a positive integer, any positive integer as a output. If the string 1 is lesser than string 2, the size of string 1 is less than string 2, then it will output a negative value. So first we will try to look into these functions, and I will try to cover another function also, that is called strncmp. Let us say if you want to compare the strings only first n characters, then you need to use this strncmp. The main fundamental difference between strcmp is it will take two strings, full strings, but if you want to find out the comparison between at particular places, first 4 characters and first 5 characters or something like that, then you need to use strncmp. So this is the syntax for strncmp. So it will take two strings, character arrays, as a input, and then the third argument will be the size of the first n characters that you want to compare. So if it will be the same for just like it will work just like strcmp. The fundamental difference is you need to have a bound. So you need to compare only first n characters, and the rest of the return values will be same. So what is this? So if the two first n characters of the both strings are same, then it will output 0. So similarly, if the first n characters will be bigger, then it will give the positive and negative. So and the next function that we are looking into is called strcat. So it will actually try to concatenate the first, if you use strcat on two strings, so it will try to concatenate the second string to the first string. So let us say if you have str1 and str2, so it will take str2 and it will attach it to the str end of the string 1. So that is called as string cat. So string concatenation will happen here, and similarly strncat. So it will try to attach only the first n characters of a second string, and it will attach that particular thing to the first string. So that is about strncat. And strcp is it will override the value. Let us say if you have if you pass two values to strcpy, then it will override the first value with the second value. So all these things will be pretty clear. We will try to look into these things example by example, so that it will be very much easy for you. So let's try to look into the string length first. So let's say we have Indian Institute of Technology. So this is a character string of 40 length. So we will try to just print what is the length of that particular string. So C lang str length hyphen so 30. So this will be the size 30. So it will just print str length. So if you use strn length, so strn length is not there. I think strn length also supposed to be there. There are so many other functions, but it is just for example. You can dig more into that by using string. So all these predefined functions will be there in string header file. So you can Google it for more elaborated explanation for this thing. So now we have some interesting things. So we will I have two character arrays of same string containing the same string. So, I am trying to compare these two strings by using strcmp. So, as we discussed earlier, if the two strings are equal, then you should get 0 as a output. If the both the strings are different, then we have greater than, less than, or something like that. So, let me try to so I will do one more thing here. So if the both the strings are equal, then we will try to print what will be the output of the percentage d comma strcmp of these two values. So we just want to know if it is same, then it is fine. If it is different, then how these things are changing, I just want to show you. That's why I use let me recompile the program. cmp.c -o /strcmp. So because these strings are equal, so now let me try to change this thing. So I am actually trying to, because these two strings are different and you got a positive value because string 1 is greater than string 2. So now what we will do is we will try to change that one with here. So ideally we should get a negative value. That's what the expected output is. See that you got some negative value. So that is how the strcmp will work. And now we are trying to see another example called strncmp. So we just want to compare. Sorry.
In else part, no, in the program.
Okay, in the program. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
In else part, the second printf you used, we
I
can use return function.
what?
Can we use return function instead of printf in else part, second printf?
Else printf, why we should use return function? I mean, you can use return here. So int main, so return 0 I didn't write, but you can return it, so it's not a matter. So if you want, you can return this value to the main function also, but I just want to show you the example to what is the output of this particular thing. Ideally I should write return 0 because it is a int main, so I didn't write that, but it is okay. So it might throw some warning, but what I want to show you guys is that how these things will be changing with respect to the size of the string. Okay, that's what you need to understand
But
from.
I think in we return the value that you define in printf function.
What?
As in return 0 instead return.
You can return it, so it's not a matter.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh, but it doesn't make any difference, I guess, to because int is the starting function through which the program will start execution. So if you write this logic in some other program, and from that program if you return to main, then that would make sense because you can use that value to perform some other operation. But returning 0, instead of returning 0, if you write negative value, then it doesn't make any difference to the main. So main will terminate and you can't see anything over here. Okay.
More useful in writing functions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So now we will try to see another example with strncmp. Here I don't want to compare whole string, I just want to compare the first 3 characters uh, because cat mouse, and the second string I have is cat. So first 3 characters are same for both strings. So ideally if I write the code, and it should print both these two strings are equal up to 3 characters. So let me try to run this program for you. here the subtle difference between strcmp and strncmp is that you need to you don't need to what okay sorry hyphen o see you can see let's say these three characters are same, that's why I got this value. So if I use so obviously it will let's say I keep the same thing and let's say if I do this thing. So if I am trying to perform strncmp for 6 till 6, then the output will be different. So it is more or less the same output. So I think you can try to run. So if you want to perform the same thing comparison character by character, then you can use the strncmp. That's what I want to infer here. So and the next function we will look into is strncat. So strcat, so it will concat two strings. So I have hello here and world here. So if we use strcat, the second string will be appended towards the end of the first string. So hello world will be there in the string 1. So that's what it is there in strcat. So let me run this program. So clang hyphen o clang strcat not c hyphen o strcat dot slash hello world. So it will concatenate, but the value in the string 2 will be same. It will be there. So let me try to show you this one also, strncat. So what I am trying to do is, now I don't want to append whole string. I want to append only the 3 characters of this particular string 2 to this string 1. So then you can use strncat. Let me comment out these two statements and we will try to recompile the program and then we will try to run it. So you have just the three characters are appended after the first string. So this is about strcat and strncat. So the final function here is the strcpy. So this is bit tricky. So it will try to overload, I mean rewrite the values of the first string with the second string here. So here we have string 1, so that is there. So all these values, all this value will be replaced by the second value. So because the S2 will be replacing the S1. So that is what the intended functionality of strcpy. So we will try to run this program -o strcpy strcpy -o strcpy. So string, if you see the string 1, there is no string 1, it will be overridden by this particular value. So that's what the intended functionality of this string function strcpy. So till now we have seen strcpy, str concatenation, str comparison, strn comparison, str length, and this is all about the string functionality.
Sir?
Okay, yeah.
Sir, what is the output for STR and CMP?
STR and CMP you can see, right? So you can run and check it out. Okay.
Sir, would you run, sir?
So I have a lot of topics to cover. I can copy this particular code and you can run it on yourself. Okay. I will paste it on the Google Docs towards the end, and you can try to do different experiments with this thing. So that's all about string functions, inbuilt functions in C programming language. So that is there in string.h header file. You need to include that string.h header file. Some compilers will include it by default. I think some of them will not. So you need to figure out which one will do that. If you don't have that thing, you just need to write --include a string.h. So that's all about strings. So now we will look into the two dimensional arrays. So till now what we have seen is like let's say if you have array, let me write it here somewhere. So int arr int arr of something equal to 1 2 3. So this is single dimensional array. So the values will be placed in sequential order 1 2 3. So what if two dimensional array? So if it is a matrix, let's say you know the matrix, right? It's rows wise and column wise 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So you can create two dimensional arrays, three dimensional arrays, and actually multi-dimensional arrays by using C programming language. C will allow you to do that. So here we are going to look into the two dimensional array today. So we can say this two dimensional array as arrays of arrays. So that means you have one dimensional array 1 2 3 and another array. So all these arrays will form together a matrix which is called as a two dimensional array. So this is what the fundamental understanding of 2D arrays in C programming. In fact, it is same for any programming language as well, but the data structure is same. The array of arrays is called multi-dimensional array, or you can say if it is two dimensional, you can say two dimensional array. So here that the declaration, how do we declare 2D arrays? In the single dimensional array we just define one value. So it's like just int arr of 3, sorry my mistake, equal to 1 2 3 something like that. So in multi-dimensional array we define rows and columns. So we have two such a kind of thing. So int 3 comma 4. So the first one will indicate the row value and the second one will indicate the column value. So this particular thing here means that, let's say, so here means that you have 3 rows and 4 columns. So the each row will be starting from 0 and each column will be starting from 0. So we will look into that. So this is the fundamental syntax for declaration. So you define the data type, array name, and rows and columns. For example, int for 2 diamond 4 comma 3. So you can use this particular so as I said, this is called array of arrays. So you have multiple single dimensional arrays in a 2 dimensional array. So we can initialize this thing by performing like this. So int 4 comma 3. So you have 4 values, 4 rows and 3 columns. So let's say if you take this one, so I would like to show you in the thing. So let me paste it over here. So I just want to represent how it will look like. So we have 4 0 1 2 3 0 1 2 3. So this is kind of a matrix. So we have 4 rows and 3 columns. So okay, we don't have 3 here, we will have only 0 1 2. So we have 4 rows and 3 columns, 1 2 3. Let me try to erase this 1 2 3. Again, in the first row we have 2 3 4, and the second row we have 3 4 5, and the third row 4 5 6. So this is how the representation will be for two dimensional arrays, but there are many ways that you can there are 3-4 ways that you can declare a two dimensional array. Though the first one, so there are these are several ways. So 1 2 3, so we are int c of 2 3, so 2 rows 3 columns. So you can define two arrays with 3 values in each array. So this is a column. So there are otherwise you can use like this also 1 0 1 1 3 0 minus 1 5 9. So this is also a valid declaration of a multi-dimensional array. So here I want to stress one point, that is about the column count. So let's say, is it a valid declaration of array or not? Can somebody tell me? Is it a valid declaration?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what if I remove this thing? So is it also a valid declaration?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here it is wrong. So you can't remove the column name. You can remove the row. You can remove the size of the row. That means you cannot. I mean, you can leave it as empty and define the array, but you can't ignore the column size, because there is some fundamental concept called row major order and column major order. So the thing is, C will use a column major order. The thing behind is that column major order is that, let's say if you have so the thing is that all the row elements are placed in a contiguous memory addresses, whereas column major representation will keep all the columns in the same, I mean in the contiguous memory addresses. So it need to understand where it need to break and come to the second row. So that's why, let's say if you define in this declaration, let me show you in this declaration. So let's say you define some series of elements, and how do compiler will know that, okay, I need to break after 3 values because my column length is 3. That is called as row major representation. So we will define the number of values in the column. So this is called as column size. So 1 2 3. So after 3 it need to cut there and come back to the second row and place the elements in the contiguous memory location. So it need to know that what is the size of the column, otherwise it can't break and come back to the second row, and compiler doesn't understand this particular thing. That's why the C compiler will throw you an error if you miss the column value here. If you miss the row value, it is okay. There are some other programming languages like MATLAB and Pascal or some other languages where it follows the column major representation, where you don't need to exactly give the column value, you just need to specify the row. So it will be in the column major representation. But here C compiler will follow the row major representation. Exactly, it need to know from what value, I mean, so after what is the size of the column, so that it will break and come back to the next row. Okay, all these values will be placed in the contiguous memory locations, right? So that's why. So if you know that if the compiler will know that the column value is 3, even though if it is not defined, row value is not defined, so it will come, it will save 1, it will save 2, it will save 3 0, and then it will say, okay, my column count is 3, so I think I need to come to the second row, and all these 1 5 7 will be placed in the second row. So that is how it is working in C. So it is very much important to understand in terms of multi-dimensional array. Most of the people will confuse whether to keep the missing value in the row or column. So please be clarify. I suggest, I highly recommend everybody to look into this particular this particular Stack Overflow discussion. So here they have clearly mentioned it doesn't know the number of elements in each row due to the lack of offset on the number of columns on the each row should have. So if you don't know, if you just define like this, so it doesn't know where to actually break and come back to the next row. So that's why it knows that there are two rows, but it don't know how many number of columns, how many number of values should be there in one row. So it will throw you an error. Otherwise, if you remove this particular thing and if you do this particular kind of declaration, so okay, it will know, even though it don't know how many rows, after 3 values the column length will be 3, right. So then it will break there and come back to the next row and place the remaining values in the contiguous memory location. So C compilers need only this kind of declaration or defining the multi-dimensional array. It will not allow such a kind of declarations in program. So you need to understand this one. So now we will look into some rules. So first important thing is values are given row wise, the first row, second row, third row and so on, and number of columns must be specified. So as I told just now, so number of columns must specified, and the values in the each row can be enclosed in the braces. So here if you see, we have an array of number of columns is equal to 3. So you can just say you can just define each row in a curly braces. So all the remaining values, because here the column number column value is 3, so it can accommodate 3 values, but if you just define one value, the remaining values will be set to the default values as we discussed in the last class. So it will be for integer it will be 0, for double it will be 0, 0.0, and for character it will be \0, so something like that. So by default values will be 0. So because in this first row 1 0 0 will be there, and in the second row 2 3 0 will be there, and in the third row 3 4 5 will be there. That's how it will be looking like in the in terms of C compiler. So that is all about C programming, how to define C programming, how to define multi-dimensional arrays in C programming. So as we discussed, this is I will show you some examples. So this is a valid declaration because we have defined both rows and columns, it is fine, and this is also a valid declaration as we discussed just now, because after 2 it will it will try to break here and come back to the second row, and this is an invalid declaration because the compiler doesn't know what is the row size and what is the column size. In case of single dimensional array, this is true, because we can write that let us say for a single dimensional array, if you write int a of something equal to 1 2 3 3 or something, so this is allowed in single dimensional array, but in multi-dimensional array such a kind of declarations are not allowed. That is the first thing you need to remember. And the second thing is, like, this is also not valid because it doesn't know because where to break actually. So this is also an invalid statement in terms of C compiler. And now we will try to look how we can find out, how we can figure out where the particular elements are there. So here we define multi-dimensional array of row values 4, column values. So it has 4 rows and 3 columns. So 0 1 2 3. So row, each value, row, either row or column, the values will start from 0 0 1 2 3. So it has 4 rows and 3 columns. So 10 20 30 will go here, and 40 50 60 will go here. So let's say if I want to access the element 80, then what will be the value of 80? So the row value will be 2 and the column value will be 1. So this is multi-dimension array of 3 comma 1. So if you try to print this value, you will get 80. So this is how you should try to access the multi-dimensional array elements. So you need to keep one thing in mind. So, all the values indexes will start from 0, either row values or column values will start from 0. So, that is what you need to remember. And this is something extra, this is related to pointers. You might not understand it right away because professor has not covered pointers in deep, but I am keeping it here for your reference. If anybody know the in depth knowledge of pointers, so you can say you can look into this one as well, because the first you can represent multi-dimensional array in terms of pointers as well. So, it will have the base element, base address of the first row. Then if you do the +1, then you will enter into the second row, the base element, base address of the second row, and if you do the +2, it will be like this. So, this is called as matrix view. If you do it in row major view, it is like the compiler will jump. If you try to access star of mat1, then it will come here, and it will try to print this particular value, and if you increase the values, so on, you will get the subsequent elements. So, you do not need to worry about this one right now, because we can cover it later also. So, now we will try to look into some sample program, how to read multi-dimensional array and how to display it to the console. I am displaying this sample program for you. So, this is quite easy. You just need to understand this particular point. So, here we are declaring the 2-dimensional array of row size 2 and column size 3. Then from as we know how to read the values, so you just need to just like single dimensional array, because we have 2 dimensions here, you just need to iterate the for loop for 2 times. So, there will be outer loop and there will be inner loop. So, outer loop will iterate for number of rows and inner loop will iterate for number of columns, and first it will, let us say if it is in 0th row, it will print 1 2 3 values, then it will break, it will come back to the second row and read subsequent values in the memory locations. And similarly for displaying also, you just need to use recursive, nested for loops, for loop inside a for loop. So, for outer loop is for number of rows and inner loop is for number of columns, and here you can use scanf just like any other array. How do we read? We just read the values and we can print the values. So, this is all about multi-dimensional array. Let me try to run this program, and so that we can move to the quiz. C language multi dot slash. So, I will declare 2 rows. Okay, it is directly asking 0 0, enter the 0 0 value, 0 1 value. So, I am entering 2 3 4. So, you can see that the values 2 by 3, right. So, you can see 2 rows 3 columns. Okay. So, this is how I will paste this code for you in the sheet. You can take a look into it after the class. So, this is all about today's class I want to cover. So, now we will jump into the quiz. So, we have 10 questions roughly. So, let me try to okay, it is okay. So, this is the first question. So, what is the which of the following statements are correct here? So, you can answer it in Meet. I can see, or otherwise let me share. It is better that I share that particular document with you. Okay. So, answer is B. Okay, cool. So, is there any other answer from apart from B? Somebody? Okay, because this is quite simple question. So the string is a collection of characters terminated by /0, that is true, and the format of, because every string will be terminated, so if you use the double quotes, if you, the /0 will be appended at the back, so that is why there will be one more extra character. So that is valid statement, and the format specifier is %f, that is true. The length of the string can be obtained by str length, so we have seen that in the today's class, so that is also true. So these three statements are true, so answer will be B. No, so now let's look into the second question. So we have discussed this thing today. So write method of initializing 2D array. Okay, yeah. Okay, any other answers? So A is the right answer, because as we discussed in the first, either it need to have column value or both row and column value. It will not allow you to empty or only with the row value. So that's why option A is correct. So let's go to the question number 3. So array is passed and an argument to function is interpreted as what? So
Add all elements in an array.
okay, so it's not the all elements in the array. So I think professor has not covered this thing in detail in the class, so maybe in the next week we will cover this, how to pass an argument to an array. So when you pass array as an argument to a function, the base address will be passed. From that base address you can iterate throughout the array. So option C, sorry, address of the address of the first element of the array, option C is correct, because the base address is passed. So base address is the address of the first element of the array. So after that he can iterate by adding some offset. So that is there. So option C is correct for this one. I think we can look into that one in detail in the next class, probably, because sir will cover out some basics so that we can do some experiments on it. So that is there. Yeah, here it is easy for you. So just we discussed this thing few minutes back, so you can answer what is the output. We have 3 rows and 4 columns. Okay, 15. So any other answers?
Wait a minute.
Okay, can you mute yourself, Ashrad? So yeah, so yeah, 15 will be the right answer, because the values will be represented in a row and column format. So the first, it has 3 rows and 4 columns. So in the first row we have 5 6 8 2 4 5 3 7 and 10 3 0, 1 10 13 15. So so the row value will start from 0, and similarly the column value will start from 0. So if you go to the second row, 0 1 2, that means the last row, and the fourth third 3 value 3 means 0 1 2 3. So the last value will be 15. So answer is 15. So that is about this one. So this is bit tricky question, so you need to answer this one. So what is the output of this particular program? So we have 2 character arrays, one with double quotes and one with normal character by character, and they are trying to print out n1 and n2, which is of size of this particular string. So the size of str1, the size of str1 will be 0, 1, and that is also the same for str2 also. So 18 17. So what is the option? Option A. Okay, why it is option A? Can somebody tell? Nivedita or Ash Harath? Can any one of you will explain why you think that it is 18 and 17? Okay, sir, because slash 0 at the end. Yeah, you are true. Nivedita, you are right, because if you define a string or if you declare a string with double quotes, by default the slash 0, the termination character will be added at the end. So that's why we have 18 here. Even though both the strings are same, the null character will be added towards the end of the string where we use double quotes, which is not the case for if you use the, if you just see the str2, it is not the case for str2, because it will be same. So I think I have example for that program as well. So let me try to share the whole screen. I think, yeah, so see lang if example 2, whoever doesn't understand this program, not slash e2. So you can see 17 and 18, because here it will be null character will be there by default slash 0, which is not the case here. So that's why we can see the difference here. So that is all about this particular program. So it is bit tricky. So now we need to identify this program. So we need to answer this program. There are two characters dils, and there is a character array which is of str2 is of size 20 and str3 is dafo. So what is the I value? I think that code should be there. Okay, so somebody for str2 slash 0, okay, 7 or 2, s1 said 0. Okay, cool. So is there any other answers for this particular question? You can s1, you can unmute yourself and tell why it is 0. Okay, because both strings are same. Okay, cool. The answer is 0. That is right. So but you need to understand how it happened. So first, initially str1 is copied to str2. So that means str2 will be overridden by dils, and then it is appending to str3. So that str cat means the dafo is there in str3. So dils will be added at the end of dafo. So it will be daffodils, and we are trying to compare the same thing with daffodils. So if the two strings are same, we will get output as 0. So that is what the output will be. I will be 0. Yes, this is the important question and most favorite question of this session. Okay, let me try to share this. So I want answer for this question. Why it is like, what is the output that we are going to get? Option A or option B or option C? So try to decode it.
Should be A, I think.
So A, B, okay. Nivedita, B, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, A, cool. So string will be reversed. A, okay, cool. So I'm going to disappoint you everybody, because the answer is D. So Why it is d, I will try to show you. We will try to understand this one with program compiler. Yes, so I don't want to, okay, I don't want to, I don't want to explain anything about the code. I will just run the code, then clang example 3.c hyphen o e3 dot slash e3. So it doesn't print anything. Why? So because we have a character array of size 20p and we have a string, and here we are finding the length of the string, which will be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and there will, because we declare the array like this, the slash 0 will be added at the end. So now if we come to this for loop for I equal to 0, I less than length I plus plus, and what we are trying to do is we are trying to add, we are trying to reverse the string. You are in the sense right, but the thing is the slash 0 will be added at the first element of this p of I. So slash 0 will be there, and then it will add g n I r s t. But when you are trying to print, the moment it sees the slash 0, it will terminate there itself and it will not print anything, because it will feel, the compiler will feel that okay, slash 0 is there, that means my the string, and I have reached the end of the string, and it will, I will come out, that's it. Okay, you got the thing? Everybody got the answer? I mean my explanation? Okay, cool. So let's look into the eighth question. No, this is also a very tricky question. So I want you to look at this thing. So here we have main function. We have two character arrays, and then we are trying to call the swap function, and then we are trying to print the value. So what is going to happen here? So are you guys are able to decode the code, right? B. Okay, B. Why it is B? Kaif? Why it is B? I cannot see the code. Okay, sorry. So I will show you. Okay. Okay, you can see the code now. We have Swayam here, 2022 here. So what happens here? Options please. Okay, no, I am giving. Option A will be Swayam 2022 or 2022 Swayam 2022 2022. Four options are there.
A.
A. Okay. Okay. Swayam. Why A?
D, maybe.
Why maybe? So there is no maybe. You should give the definitive answer.
A because here only addresses are changing.
Okay. Addresses are changing. That what does that mean?
Swapping addresses only.
Okay. Why, if the addresses are swapped, then it will work, right? So why it will not work? So here in this function we are actually doing the reverse operation, right? So we are assigning string 1 to here and string 2 to string 1, and then we are using string 2 to. So if you do this thing, it will be swapping. So why, what is the problem? Why it is A, why not B? Why it is B and why not A? So C. Okay, so let me go through this thing with an example. So this question reminded me of my BTech days. So this is the thing I solved it in long back ago. So the thing is, if you try to, this is more or less they copied the same program here. So if you try to I think it's better to show it here. So if you try to pass the value here, then you will get the same values, because it will not swap the thing. So you will get Swayam 2022, because the thing is, let me show you, it is call by values, it's not the call by reference. So we are not passing the reference value here. So we will print one thing here, and again the same value will be printed here after the string not written. So you understood what I have done. I am just trying to make it much more easy for you. So so inside the function, so we are calling the swap function with these two values. So if it is two values, then it will go here and it will do some operations here, and then it will. So I am trying to print the addresses of these strings and values of these strings. So let me do it. Okay, fine, after this is also fine. So here also I am doing the same thing. So let's say C lang hyphen o example 4.c hyphen o e4. Okay, sorry. Okay, that's fine. So you can see that because here we are calling, so first will code will go here. Here you can see the addresses of these two variables 1989, it will end with 36, and these two addresses, and here you can see that these two values are swapped, 2022 and 20 Swayam. But again when you come back to here, you can see Swayam and 2022, and you can see different addresses. This is because, so these addresses are different from what we are passing here. This is because we haven't passed the address of this variable, so we just pass the values. So this is called as call by values, not the call by reference. If you pass the base address of a array to a function, then you are passing that particular whole array. So we are here, just we are passing the values, so we are just duplicating the values, and whatever happens inside the swap function, so it doesn't gonna replicate into the main variables in the main. Got it? So if you want to do this, if you want to do swap the elements on the values which are there in the main, you just need to pass the address of the strings to that swap function, so that the values will be changed. So that is how it will work. You understand? Because we are not passing the address here, we are just passing this kind of calling is called as call by value. We are just calling we are just passing the values to the function, not exactly the address. So the values here in the main function will not get affected, because will not get affected whatever the things that you do here. But if you pass the address, we are passing the same string, same base value to the swap function, so that the values will be changed. Here in this case, we are just passing the normal values, so it will not gonna reverse the string or two strings, swap the string. So the answer will be Swayam and 2022. Okay.
Okay, when we pass call by reference, then it will stop.
Yeah, it will swap. You can execute this code. I think there is some link is also there. I will paste this link. So this is a famous thing. You can Google it, or I will paste this reference towards the end of this class. Okay, in the notes, lecture notes. So we are at the 9th question. So we are running out of time. So here the question is that, let's say 22. So I want to print only 2 TWO. So what should I write here to print only TWO2? ARR plus 5, ARR plus 6, and not possible. So this is bit advanced, but it is okay. You can try to. ARR plus 6,
5 plus 5.
ARR plus 6, ARR plus 5. Some of them are ARR 6, ARR 5. Option C. Okay. So let's try to run this one as well. I think I have the code. So let us try to run C language example 5 hyphen O E5. So you can see, so here it's 0 1 2 3 4 5 6. Here are 0 plus 6, 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 will be here. So you can, if you print ARR plus 5, it will start from Y. Okay, so answer will be C. So this is the last question. So sorry for getting late today, so I can't help it out. So this is the last and final question for today's class. Yeah. So base address is 2000. I think professor has taught this in the class. So float takes 4 bytes. So he just want to know where in memory the ARR 56 will be stored. So I don't want to confuse you people, because there is some formula for this thing. So so let's say you have an array of ARR ij. So this is a multi-dimensional array. So A denotes the base address, so starting address of the program, the array, so which is of 2000, and B represents the number of columns. So number of columns will be 10 here. So number of columns will be 10 here, and C represents the size of the number of bytes for each element, so which is of 4. So ARR of ij, so the where the location of this particular ARR of ij will be calculated like A plus I star B plus J star C. So if you take this example ARR 5 comma 6, so base address is 2000. So I value will be 5, because we are trying to look for 5 6. I value will be 5, B value will be 10, because the column size will be 10, and plus 6. So here 5 times 10 50 plus 6 56 times 4, it is equal to 224 plus 2000. So 2224. This is how you calculate. So this is pretty forward thing. You can look into that in Google also. So that's all about it. So I think I will paste some links in the. You got the answer? Are you guys having any doubts, or are you got the answer? Have you got the answer?
No, sir.
No?
Professor. No, sir. This is told in class.
It is told in class.
Yes, sir.
Oh, it is already told in class.
Yes, sir. I am going to see the option, but you change the slide.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, it's no issue. So you know. So option C is the right answer. So I thought ki some of the people might not know it, and because we are running out of time, I just gave the answer directly. So don't worry. So this is all about today's class. So what we have covered here is that we have covered
Sir,
uh,
sir, can you go to the first question, sir?
first question. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Sir, first question, fourth option is correct, sir.
Pointer
Yeah,
cannot work on, it's not can. So pointer, why pointer cannot work on string? So pointers will work on strings. So if it is working on single dimensional array, so why pointers will not work on multi-dimensional array or string? So strings are nothing but character arrays, right? So it will work. Got?
Okay, sir.
Got? Okay. So I think what we have covered in this class is we looked into the arrays, linear search of arrays, and we have dig some. We have looked into some predefined functions in strings, and then we try to understand what is multidimensional arrays and what are all different ways to represent and how to not represent multidimensional arrays, declare and define the multidimensional arrays. Then we have looked into the programming examples. I think from the next class we will look into the functions in detail, how to as we discuss how to use call by value and call by reference and all this stuff. So hopefully we will meet in the next class, and that's all from my end. So I think we will stop here and we'll meet in the next week. Okay, same time.
Uh,
Yeah.
so what is mean by n dimensions? We can make 3 dimensions array.
Yeah.
What is about 4 and 5 and 6 one?
So you can look into that in Google and let me know in the next class. I think it is possible.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's all for today's class, and we will meet in the next week. Have a great evening, guys. Thank you everyone for joining the class, and see you next week. Bye.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.